I thought things couldn't get any worse, but things continue to stockpile in the Israetel files, and so here it is, Chapter 6. Have you not seen Coach Greg and Mike Israetel for years make videos against each other? Primarily me, 90% me, but how can I not when Israetel keeps on digging his own grave or shit pile and it continues to keep burning hot? Coach Greg, and I thought things couldn't get any worse, but things continue to stockpile in the Israetel files, and so here it is, Chapter 6. The worst damage control in history. Wait till you see what Mike Israetel has recently done. Before we get into that, let me point out that Milo Wolf had posted a video apologizing for jumping the gun, for listening to Mike Israetel, for taking his word that in fact was the final draft. And so Milo, being a good friend of Mike, of course he's not going to throw Mike under the bus. He's not going to say anything bad from him. After all, did you all know that Milo Wolf's PhD, in fact, based on ChatGPT, says it was funded by Mike Israetel and RP Renaissance periods? And so in this graph, we see a bunch of names and we see how they're all tied together. Pay attention to the red line, direct funding, money flow. We see Mike Israetel lining up directly to Milo Wolf, as well as Macro Factor, which is partially owned by Jeff Nippard. We see Kingpings in red with Mike Israetel and Jeff Nippard, and you can kind of see how everything is all connected. Of course, we've also seen Jeff Nippard go to bat to defend Mike Israetel, didn't care that he actually lied. How many times have they made videos together? How many times have they gone to bat for each other, making perhaps millions of dollars? And we can also see the research allies in green: Eric Helms, Eric Trexler, James Krieger, and Greg Knuckles. And so when you see how everything relates, how it ties together, it's almost like the mafia. One person is controlling this, doing that. They're spending money, they're receiving money, they're promoting each other. Everything ties together. And so I've been talking to Milo Wolf literally right now, and he quite literally doesn't know what to do. Mike found out that Solomon's version also wasn't the final one, LOL. After doing some research, how many times can someone who wrote a thesis, a PhD, one that he spent perhaps an entire year on, make mistake after mistake after mistake? I mean, in his last post on Instagram, he literally said, "That's on me twice." 2 mistakes that simply don't add up. I have to tell you, my honest opinion is I don't think that Milo is doing anything wrong. He's going to back to save his friend, and he keeps getting a different message, and he doesn't know what to do. He deleted his last video. He recorded another video. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know if he should post it, if he should take anything down. He's unsure of what to do. The only way for this to truly be settled were if Mike were to literally sit down, make a video, start to finish, explaining everything. If Solomon could spend 100 hours explaining why his PhD thesis did not make any sense, then Mike should do a solid and try to clear his name by explaining exactly the process that led to Solomon making that video. He can be purposely obfuscatious and try to deceive everyone. I mean, think of the way he's explained this. Does it actually make any sense? Every time it's a different post saying a different thing with multiple slides. It takes a rocket scientist to even understand the mistakes that he's kind of admitting to.
Last few days, Mike went from, "That wasn't the final version of my thesis," to, "Okay, fine, it was the final version. We just edited it after Solomon exposed it."
Oopsie.
Also, shout out to Greg Doucette for mentioning my channel. Greg, I know you're watching this, and I know you're about to make 50 videos about this topic.
And so, of course, you can follow this up with Zerk Fitness and all you see is this shredded muscle character, kind of looks like this. And imagine if this was literally the catabolic twig in disguise. I mean, would it not be better to find out who's actually making the video after all?
Mike claimed the earlier version from March was the clean final draft, and the later version from August that Solomon reviewed was a messy rough draft. How does a rough draft from August have more errors than a final version from March?
And so make that make sense. And so on Mike's actual video by Dr. Matthew Nagra, it says, so the version you and Milo reviewed was an older but somehow more clean version. Is this a joke? Scientific Snitch responded, liking and posting to my story. And may as well include Goop's comment, a man who exposes the truth on the internet, very good at what he does, as I want to show both sides of the story. Goop writes, I don't think I could find a way to care less about this. Post more training footage and ignore these nerds. Listen, Mike has some fans, strong fan supporters, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with somebody supporting their buddy, their friend, the same way as Milo Wolf did. Goop has a platform where he exposes the truth, exposes liars, and in this situation, he couldn't care less. I don't think that long-term, overall, that people are going to care. I think many people feel like Goop, while the other half are more like the Scientific Snitch and Dr. Matthew Nagra. And so, depending on what side you're on, you're going to think, hey, this is stupid, we shouldn't make videos about this. But the other side, they say, please give us more. We want the entire Netflix documentary. And so Mike, he thinks he's being crystal clear, that he's explained everything, that he's being open, honest, and transparent. Sure, if we define transparency as purposeful obfuscation, then sure, yeah, he's transparent. And so the opposite of transparent, I mean, perhaps a little translucent, as in you can kind of see through it, but it's like clouded up, muddied up waters. You can see through it a little bit, but just barely, just enough to say, hey, you can see through it, right? Wrong, we can't. Unless your IQ is 160 plus, like Mike Israetel, you know, off the charts, he's been tested multiple times, it's very difficult to understand what he's actually saying.
So you get every single question right. And so my IQ is above 160. We don't know how high because they don't do standardized IQ tests above that.
Of course, with a man as smart as Mike.
I'm smarter than you, and I'm better at being a than you.
One of the smartest, if not the smartest coach in the entire world.
I'm both on a raw IQ scale smarter than almost every coach.
Why did he continue to make so many mistakes in his PhD thesis? I personally did not get a PhD, so I don't know exactly what goes into it. Milo Wolf has. He tried to explain it to me like this, and so I'm going to read some of the things he said. And remember, he's doing his best to explain what he believes has happened. Did Mike give you one draft or more than one draft to look at? Because Mike said he gave him the original draft, and then there were multiple drafts. The story kept changing. Milo Wolf says, initially one, then multiple. I'm not sure why. I don't even feel like speculating. And when I asked him to confirm whether the one I suspected was the final one was the final, he confirmed. And so Milo said, look, I'm making a video on this. This is very important. I need to confirm with you, Mike, you're my friend, which is the final draft, because that's the one I'm going to make a video on. He confirmed it, Milo Wolf made a video on it, and then later said, oopsie, it wasn't the final draft after all. Who do you think overall is the most likely culprit in this fiasco? I do not think that Milo Wolf did anything wrong. I don't see it. I believe that it's on Mike Israetel, and Mike Israetel says, yes, it's on me. Yep, I gave him the wrong draft. How many times can you give the wrong drafts to people before people are going to cry wolf? In 2013, it's the wrong draft back then. You said you submitted to the university, uploaded the wrong one. It's 2025 now, and another draft has edited version of it, and somehow you tell Milo Wolf, then confirm that that's the proper draft when it isn't. And so, as a scientist at genius level, does he not have a greater onus to do proper work, proper research? And so if he can make multiple mistakes on a paper he himself wrote, how can we trust him in the future to not make such basic errors, and when he does make them, to admit them right away? And so essentially it looks as though he did in fact cover it up, but he's not admitting to this. He's admitting it to other things, to other mistakes, and he's not posting it on his YouTube channel because that would get far more views. Millions of people perhaps would watch that in comparison to perhaps a couple 100,000 from Milo Wolf. And so Milo says this is what he thinks happened. But remember, he can't confirm this. He doesn't actually know. This is how he believes it went down. He likely passed the thesis we're talking about with revisions. And so he says, meaning he passed provided he made certain changes to the dissertation. Fix XYZ and you're golden. And so he cut down around 60 pages and changed a bunch of things that the examiners asked for. However, he likely rushed the process and introduced a bunch of mistakes. After all, he'd already passed. He just needed to make revisions to the examiner's satisfaction. And so we're going to blame Mike here. We're going to blame the university. Is this actually true? Is that what actually transpired? Is Mike admitting to this? This is what Milo Wolf thinks happened. This is the best explanation he could come up with.
Immediately after Solomon's video dropped, Mike restricted access to his thesis on the university website. Why hide the original if there's nothing to hide?
Is it possible to make changes, to make revisions, to come up with a plan to deceive us?
Mike's new excuse is that the errors were just clerical. Brother! Those clerical errors included athletes who were negative 1.6 years old.
And so is that being transparent to say, yeah, I admit it, I made a few clerical errors, when there were hundreds with an S, plural, of errors, with mislabeled tables, charts, misinformation, and Milo Wolf saying there were 60 fewer pages in the end. He's not being transparent.
Jeff Nippard was in the comments defending Mike, mocking Solomon, saying people don't understand how PhD programs work. Now, Jeff looks like a clown who got duped.
And so Jeff just continues to take L's. I mean, why defend your friend without even getting the correct information? Making it look like Solomon was a bad person for making a video, like he did something wrong? Saying he corrected the wrong draft, that he didn't do his due diligence, only to later find out that Mike, in fact, was wrong. And Jeff still won't admit that he'd made a mistake. Jeff has not retracted his statement. Jeff continues to this day to defend Mike and to say that Solomon is bad.
Mike's current story is that he gave Milo multiple versions of the thesis, except there's one tiny problem with that story that Milo himself said on YouTube 3 separate times, that Mike only gave him one document.
We basically confirmed that, and then later he gave him more documents. And remember, he did, in fact, confirm which was the correct one, of which he later changed his mind.
Either Mike is lying about giving Milo multiple versions, or Milo is lying about only receiving one.
So can both be true? He gave him one, and then he gave him multiple. Can you see it now? Are you starting to get it? I know it's a lot to take in, but hopefully you're starting to understand.
A smart person would have said, yeah, my dissertation was rough, I was young and rushed it, but look at all the quality work I've done since. Done. Everyone moves on.
I mean, let's really think about this. If Mike would have just said to Milo Wolf, yeah, the first draft, it didn't really pass. It was passed with, if you make these changes, and then I did another draft and I made those changes and the changes sucked, but they still passed it, it all goes away. Like that, it's over. Who cares? No one cares. It's over 10 years ago. I don't even care. The only reason I'm making these videos is because I know that you want to see them. I mean, have you not seen Coach Greg and Mike Israetel for years make videos against each other? Primarily me, 90% me. But how can I not when Israetel keeps on digging his own grave or shit pile and it continues to keep burning hot?
Mike just handed Greg the greatest gift possible. Proof that Mike lies when confronted with criticism and possibly commits forgery to cover his ass.
Is it forgery? Is it illegal? Has he broken any laws? I don't know the law. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just here reporting the news. Just like I'm here to report that Turk Milder Max as well as Turk Platinum is back in stock. And so if you're interested, code Greg, 15% off. And remember, it's a Juga Turkistanica with receipts, with proof from Uzbekistan. It's not the cyanosis plant from China that the majority of people around the world are selling. And so if you want the best of the best, HDLT supplements, code Greg, 15% off.
This isn't just a PhD problem. This is this person cannot be trusted problem.
Like, that's the big story here. Like, I understand why Goop is saying, who cares, it's from 10 years ago, but he's lying right now. And so when Mike says, for example, I was only on 100 milligrams of tren, but I only took, for example, 300 milligrams of testosterone and 5 milligrams of halotestin, and all I felt was rage. Can you believe that he's actually being honest? That's the question. Like, can you believe everything that he stated? If everything that somebody says is right, and then they suddenly say something horrifically awful that makes absolutely no sense, does that not slightly discredit the other things that they've stated? If I said you can eat as many calories as you want as long as you're on a keto diet, like some of these other people have stated, would you not think they're quacks? They don't understand. They might have 100 other videos that are making perfect logical sense, but one video that's so awful could ruin it. Hey, did you know that if you stop eating carbs, you can't gain weight? You can eat as much calories as you want. Imagine I said that. When I say I'm on 140 milligrams of testosterone a week, HRT, do you not think that that's important? Because if I were on 500 milligrams, or if I was taking tren in secret, wouldn't you want to know? Wouldn't that invalidate some of the things that I've been saying? And so when Mike says this or Mike says that, how do you know it's actually good advice? And when Mike says he has a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, is that now in question? I mean, if he fought a brown belt, would he actually beat him? I mean, he struggles to run a half of a mile in 5.5 minutes, which most people in elementary school could do. Does it not say something about him? Perhaps he's exaggerating. How many times does he have to prove that he's smarter than everyone else in the world? But is it true? It's kind of like when your parents told you that there was no such thing as the tooth fairy, or perhaps the Easter Bunny, Santa Claus. Do we really believe that? Or no, trust me, there is a Santa Claus. If you're a kid watching this, it's 100% true. Wink. It might hurt to find out that your hero, that your best friend has been lying to you. Perhaps that's why Jeff Nippert is making all those comments, why other people are going to his defense. But the truth is the truth.
I'm making my third video about PhD drama instead of actual fitness content because you degenerates keep clicking on it and the algorithm loves controversy. Am I part of the problem? Absolutely.
I mean, I do the same. I admit it. I make these videos. I've made this is the 6th one. I'm making it because you want to watch this. Now, I do think that this is worthy news and information. I do think that it's important for people to know this because trust me, if the same thing had happened to me, do you think that everyone would have just let it slide? Oh, we don't care. Coach Greg, you lied about your master's in kinesiology. You don't actually have it. You didn't go to school. You made this shit up. You really think no one would mention it, that they wouldn't talk about it? And I'm certain half of my fans would say, we don't care. Who cares? He provides solid information. And so depending on who you are as a person, there's two types of people. One is going to defend what they know no matter what. I will never change my mind. I believe this and I believe that. I don't care what you tell me. This is what I believe. The other kind of person is to say, you know what? I believe this right now, but you present your arguments, you present your information, and based on what you say, I will decide whether or not I'm going to change my mind. To me, I'd rather be the latter. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Please like the video if you liked it. Watch one of those 2 bloops. And for AlgoRx, code Greg, 10% off for things like Ozempic or Tirzepatide, Cialis, Viagra, Telmisartan, Clomiphene, the list goes on and on. And for all the supplements, cookbooks, code Greg, 15% off. And until next time, I am out.